very important one. Last week we talked about, good job, or what is a good job. And we mentioned a good job is a job with good benefit, right? And good benefit also means good insurance. And a lot of Americans do not have health insurance. So they finally got the first vote. What happened to that vote last week? 艾尔强, what happened to that vote? Have you paid attention? Okay, no, not last week. I mean, what happened in the United States? The House has passed the vote. Okay, now, interestingly, what's the number? The vote, do you have any? Okay, first of all, there are 435 House members, 220 to 215. Okay, so what does that tell you, first of all? It barely passed, and everyone voted. Okay, no one missed the vote, right? All voted, and also not a single one who went there and cast didn't vote. Everyone voted, so that's important. But also we have a number here. D and R, Doctor, Democrat, and Republican, right? So this is the number right now, 258 to 177. So the Democrats should have an easy majority to pass this. I mean, you have almost 80, right? 79 more seats than your opponent. And what happened? You barely passed by 5 votes, means any 3, right? Plus minus will change. Okay? Now, the first question is, how many Republican or Democrat voted here? Okay. Could I do this? Would I? $219D plus 1R. Okay, that's 220, right? Here, what do you have? 39D plus 38. 38. I think it's 38. 176. Yeah, 39. Okay, R. So that's the vote. Okay, which means one Republican crossed the party line to vote for the Democrat health care bill. And 39 Democrats went on the Republican side and voted. Okay. Now, this is important because in the United States, unlike the British or other countries like Germany, the political system is different, right? America has a presidential system. The British has a parliamentary system. So parliamentary system, usually everybody is in line voting. But in presidential system, if a party member decide my re-election next year is more important, so I will switch. So what happened? First of all, which Republican would do something like this to support a health care? Health care, first of all, means what? Big government, right? Government into health care, which government didn't touch before. Secondly, government needs to raise tax on this to support this health care. I think it's fine because they are going to raise tax only for those people who earn more than $500,000 a year. 500,000 is what? About 15 million, more than that. $500,000 US a year is how much? About 15 millions in Taiwanese dollar, right? A couple earn more than $1 million will be taxed, and put that tax into the healthcare. Still, government in healthcare, Republicans' idea is always the best government govern the least. Okay? This is a Republican's idea. You don't want government to touch everything. There is a market for anything. There is a mechanism. People will move into that. If the rich people feel that there are so many people in poverty, it is a threat to their life. They will provide some kind of charity to support them. Okay? If the rich people or if the society people feel that they want to have a decent retirement, they want to retire in dignity, people will save money. Okay, that's the Republicans' idea. You don't want government to force you to do anything. So this Republican, who happened to be the first Vietnamese ethnic, okay, Vietnamese American being elected to American House, Congress, and he voted on the Democratic bill, for the Democratic bill, and 39 Republicans desert their president and vote against the bill. So the first question is very easy. They voted because they want to get reelected. Why? Because most of them came from the states their party do not have a majority. It's not their party state. For example, this Vietnamese Republican congressman, he came from the state of Louisiana, and his constituents, his voters, a lot of them are African Americans. They are all Democrats. Okay? But he got elected. So he is a Republican in a Democratic district. And most of those Democrats who deserted their party and vote against the bill are the Democrats from the Republican state, the blue Democrats in a red district. That's the reason they have to abandon the president. Okay, there are some of the people who came from the blue state, the red states, but they voted for the president. Either they are very confident, they are long-term, they have good record, or they're going to be challenged next year. They're already being targeted, saying, look, he is not representing our view. Okay, so it's a little bit like if you are a KMT member, you have to vote against the KMT member, the government import of the beef if you are from a Tainan County. Tainan County is so pan-green in Taiwan. So you happen to be elected in Kaohsiung, Tainan, and you worry about re-election, you want to vote against the KMT line. So say, show some independence. Okay? So that's one very important thing to note, that America, some of the congressmen will have to think about their own re-election. And also they have to think, how do I justify not vote or not supporting the party line, and then will not be punished by my party? For example, if you do not support President Obama this time, and next year, and then people say, why don't you move out of this important committee? Some of the important committee, for example, like Rules Committee, that just arrange which legislation will be considered, or Ways and Means Committee. Those are very important. Appropriation, distribution of money. Those are very important committee. And if you voted against the party line, you might have to encounter that. That's another one. Okay, a third issue here is they want to say, well, you know, the bill, there's some problem with the bill. Okay, some of the Democrats eventually voted for the bill because the bill scratched one provision. Okay, one provision is the national health care will not cover voluntary abortion. Okay, some of the Americans say, oh, we have a national health care, and this national health care is going to help people to kill babies. Huh? You have an abortion, you go to the clinic, you can, you know, reclaim the money you spend on abortion. So the House bill right now is saying we're going to have coverage on abortion, but that abortion only, you know, 3 types of abortion. One is rape, you know, you're being raped, right? You don't want the baby. Or incest. You understand incest? What is incest? Like a brother and sister, or father and daughter, you know, those, right? We call it incest. Third one is if the mother's life is in danger because of the pregnancy, then you go to have an abortion, that will be covered. Okay, so at least that part is scratched now. So some of the House members eventually were persuaded by President Obama because he actually invited, you know, some of the members and talked to them like, what can I do for you? Maybe, who knows? Undercover, under the table, they exchange for some favor. Obama would say, okay, I'll give you some project there in your district, right? We don't know. But this happened, so he got the vote. Okay, now, think of Taiwan. Last year, our president came to power. He thought, oh, people like me, right? He got 58% of the vote. And then he nominated someone to the examination yuan, as well as the control yuan, 监察院,考试院, right? And some of the members didn't pass. He said, wait a second, President, how come, you know, your own party member didn't vote for your nomination? The president said, I thought I was popular, you know, whomever I choose, people will vote. No, you need to check with your legislative whip. You know, remember majority whip? People whip you, majority whip, and ask him, do I have to vote? Okay, and he will say, okay, so-and-so is going to vote for you. Definitely, no problem. So-and-so definitely will vote against your nominee. But so-and-so are still undecided. Okay, give me the list of the people who are undecided, and I will call them. See what's the problem. Okay, that's what our president should do last year. So you know what happened, like the former president of your rival university, NCTU, right? Jiao Tong University. The former president of the university was nominated to be the vice president, I think, of the control yuan. But, you know, controversy, he withdrew. So this is how you do. You call the undecided. You have to know how many votes you have. Obama did this because he knew that he didn't have enough vote. He had to call people in. He had to talk to those undecided and maybe exchange some favor to get that vote. Okay, that's one important thing. Last week we also talked about, you know, I don't think we did not talk about. Last week there was also Americans' election, right? There was some election in America. Okay, so let's see whether anyone know about this election. Okay, Wang Boquan, Peng Guanrong. Is that ma? Yeah. Do you know there was election in America? Okay, election in America, usually America is very easy, like Taiwan, right? Every 4 years you have the presidential election. And then in between, you're supposed to have we call midterm election for the Congress and governor, a lot of governor. But there are some, American is a federation. They just have some idea. So some states choose their governor 1 year before the presidential election. 2 states choose their governor a year after the presidential election. In other words, in what do we call odd years, not the even years. Even years like 2008, then the midterm election is 2010, right? 2010. But you have 2029. They have these 2 states. New Jersey, remember New Jersey? Where is New Jersey? Which part? Hey, I think I should give you the map test in 2 weeks as well. Okay? With the midterm. So better have it now. Where is New Jersey? Can you give me New Jersey here somewhere? Where is New Jersey? Which part? Where is New Jersey? New Jersey is here, right? That's New Jersey, and then the other one is Virginia. So those 2 states have the governor. What do we call governor election? Remember that term? Governor? Presidential election? Governor? Governor? No? We call gubernatorial. Okay. So these 2 states choose their governor, gubernatorial election. And both of them won by the Republic. Okay. One, the incumbent, New Jersey, the incumbent Democratic governor lost the election. That's pretty bad, huh? Okay. The other one, the Democratic governor stepped down after 2 terms, and the Republican won. Okay. So here, question. 谢云达、李涵妮、潘一鸣。Yeah. Okay. Now, if we, I don't know whether you remember at all, but New Jersey and Virginia, did they vote for Bush, for McCain, or for Obama? Are they blue states or are they red states? Or each one is blue, one is red? Any idea? No? First of all, you know the blue and red. Okay. Now, blue states usually in where? I think I gave you an idea. Where do the blue states, the Democratic states, where are they? They are in the East Coast, Northeast, and in what? West, right? These are the blue states. These are the blue states here. And here, the red states, right? These are the red states here. Okay, a lot of red states, but the red states have very few population. Okay, the blue states like California, New York, Pennsylvania, these are big states. New Jersey is also big blue states as well, Massachusetts. And then in the middle, it's the battleground. Who control the Midwest, who win the election. So again, Obama won most of the Midwest, but also he won Virginia last year. Virginia was supposed to be a red state because before Obama, the last time the Democrat won Virginia was in the 1960s. So for more than 50 years, okay, it's always, Democrat always lost Virginia. And so he won the election in Virginia. But Virginia is still considered to be a red state. So I don't think that's a big deal for a Republican to win the governor of New Jersey. But the Republican defeated a Democratic incumbent in Virginia. But if the Republican defeated a Democratic incumbent in New Jersey, that's a big deal. It's a blue state. you have an incumbent president, and what happened? 没电。I thought it was 有没有电？有吗？没有电吗？我拿得那么开心。Okay. So you have the blue states, governor lost re-election. That's big. So can Republicans say, see, voters have deserted Obama. After 1 year, people don't like him. Look, this midterm is a referendum on his performance. Right? I mean, this is obviously voters rejected Obama. But unfortunately, there were also 2 congressional seats for need to be filled, vacancy. Okay, both seats have been, the incumbent congressmen were appointed by Obama to be, one become Undersecretary of State, one becomes Secretary, I think, of Army. Okay, now, interestingly here, one is from California, from a Democratic constituency. That district always voted for, I mean, not always, but most of the time voted for Democrat. So a Democrat moved into the government, the seat filled by a Democrat. No surprise, right? Even the Democrat won, what do we call in Chinese? 胜之不武. Okay, it's like DPP won in Tainan. Say, oh, that's a rejection against President Ma Ying-jeou. But Tainan always vote for DPP, right? So, but interestingly, in New York, okay, this Republican congressman was nominated, was appointed by Obama to become Secretary of Army, and his seat was won by a Democrat. Now, this seat, New York, in New York City here, that's very blue. But upstate New York, very conservative, especially along the Canadian border here, very conservative. This congressional seat has been in the hands of the Republican since 1872. Listen, not 1972, 1872. So more than 137 years. It's been controlled by the Republican. Now, how would Republican lose that one? Okay, the local people said, we lost the general election because our party cannot win the independent voter. So the local Republican Party nominate a moderate lady to be the candidate. But some people said, no, we don't want a moderate. We want a deep red. So they supported a conservative party candidate. In New York, you also have a conservative party. It's a little bit like in Taiwan. You have what? The new party instead of the KMT. So they supported a conservative candidate. And then, you still remember the vice presidential candidate for the Republican Party? Okay, I don't know whether you still remember him. Her, 卓杰. 谢依晨, 刘应辰. Yeah. Okay. Do you remember who was the vice presidential candidate of the Republican Party last year? With McCain. I know, nobody remember vice presidential candidate, but still. It's a lady from Alaska called Sarah Palin, okay? And she campaigned for the conservative candidate, not for the Republican nominee. Like, hey, I've been nominated by my party. And then all the, what do we call? 天王, right? Power, people who have power. They support the other candidate. She was so upset, she withdrew from the race. She said, okay, if you want to support him, I'm not going to run. And then she said, I'm going to support a Democratic candidate. Okay, so what happened? So Republican, 137 years of control, but they have a struggle. We call internal struggle, saying like, what kind of future does Republican want? Some people say Republican lost 2006 midterm election and then big 2008 presidential and congressional election because they abandoned their bases, the deep red. They are not red enough. Okay, now, why they are not red enough? Because last year, the presidential candidate, McCain, was considered to be a maverick, sometimes, deviate from the mainstream Republican line. They felt the reason McCain invited Sarah Palin to be the vice presidential candidate exactly wanted her to solidify the conservative basis. Okay, so some people would say the reason they lost is because they are not red enough. So some people want to go red, deep red. Some people say the reason we lost is because we have not moved to win the independent voter. So continued struggle. We don't know what happened. But now at least the Democrats will say, you want two governor election, but governor election a lot of time are really related to the local issue. But we want two congressional election. Okay, now think of this. Those two, they just won last week, sworn in last week, and then voted to support Obama. Wow. 还好有这两个 vote, right? Supporting him. Otherwise, he would be even more dangerous. That majority is like maybe one, okay? We don't know. But people would say, why would Obama try to push a health care bill? Controversial so early in his administration. Why don't he wait until the second term, right? Or, later in his term. I think the reason is because, hey, next year you're going to have a midterm election. Midterm election, the incumbent party, the president's party, always lose. Okay, depending on popularity of the president, average is at least 24. So this 258 next year, I guarantee you, will be down to 230s. Okay, so he will not have that majority. So he has to pass this. So we have that now. Okay, this is good for for Obama to get the bill passed in House. But in America, one bill passing the House is not enough. There are two houses, right? The other one is Senate. So the Senate has to pass its own version of the health care. And then the two chambers will work the differences in a conference committee and then pass the final bill. Okay, so now we have the Senate, right? Senate, we have this issue. Again, out of battery, and I don't even know, right? Okay, so what do we call this kind of professor? People call absent-minded. Huh? So here, Senate, 100 seat, right? Democrats, 58, Republican, 40, Independent, 2. Now, if you look at the number, the Democrat can easily pass the bill. Especially, we know already 2 Republican support the Democrat bill. No problem with that. Okay, those two are two ladies from Maine, from Northeast. Again, this is a blue state. You have 2 Republican female senators. I remember when they first have so many female senators being elected, they found out, wow, the American Senate didn't have enough ladies' room. Because it used to be only like one lady, one room would be sufficient. Right? They found out, wow, suddenly we have 7, 8, 9. Whoa, that's a lot, not enough. So those 2 from Maine will support. But here, the big question, they're going to vote before Thanksgiving, I think, on this one. They're going to try for Senate. But Senate, remember, we have one problem we call filibuster. Remember earlier we discussed the filibuster? If the Republicans said, hey, I'm going to continue my debate, and then you cannot vote, then how many votes do you say, stop, stop that nonsense. We're going to vote you down. You cannot continue this nonsense. How many votes do you need? 60. Okay. So Democrat has a 58 plus 2 independents leaning Democrats. Okay. Maybe they can stop the Republican from we call filibustering. That's the reason you have to do it this year. Next year, I don't think Obama will have 60 majority. Okay, so you have to do it this year. And if you cannot do it this year, sorry, it's gone. Just like 1993. When Clinton first came to power, he wanted to get a health care. Didn't get it. Never, he was in power for 8 years, didn't get the health care. Now, health care is big because health care is a major thing in American history. Very much like the New Deal of 1930s. Very much like one very important program called Social Security. Social Security, it's almost like Taiwan's 国民年金, right? People retire, you put some money in, and then when you retire, you will be able to get them. Now, I love those people who retire in 1930s. Don't you think they have never put anything in that fund? Oh, suddenly I retire. Government has this new policy to take care of me. Where do you get those? The first part of the money. Okay, later everybody pay. What's the percentage of their income into that? 7.75% of your monthly income you have to pay into your Social Security. Okay. Again, going back to the Republican. Republicans said the Democrats took away 7.75% of their income, of your income. And then you are supposed to get back when you retire. But if you have those money, and you decide how to use them, you probably can make more money and have more money for retirement. Okay, Republican will tell you that. So back in the 1930s, they don't want this Social Security program to get passed. Also debate, saying this cannot be done. Roosevelt passed it, and everybody agreed. Today, nobody is object to this. In Taiwan, we're going to have this as well. One country that do not trust, again, American right-wing conservative Republican will say, the Democrats trust the government, but we trust you. I'm going to vote for Republican Party because, the Democratic Party doesn't trust me. Right? Doesn't trust me to manage my own money, to manage my own health care, to manage my own retirement. They want some government. These indifferent bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are always indifferent. Right? Who cares? What's your name? I don't have the time. So that's the idea. And if this is the Republicans' idea, we can find an exact opposite in one country very close to Taiwan. They don't trust people. They said, I will take 30% of your income to set aside for your retirement because you don't know how to manage your retirement. Which country? Which country is so does not trust their people at all? Singapore. Okay, Singapore force you to take all the money out for your retirement, right? Singapore force you to live in the public housing. How many people live in government housing in Singapore, built by government? More than 80%. Okay, of course you still have to buy it, but in Singapore, which means you will have 80% of people live very similar kind of lifestyle. Well, you can change inside, but outside you go into the same kind of public housing, government housing. That gave a sense of people like, oh, we are probably equal. Huh? So that's one way of reducing conflict. And Singapore has a lot of strange things to do. Like every entrance of this public housing cannot be all Chinese. Have to put a Malay family in there. So you get used to interact with minority as well. So Singapore has a lot of things because they don't trust the people. American, we trust the people. Singapore trusts the government, which I think it's pretty good, right? Better than Taiwan's government. A lot of people migrate to Singapore because they think the Singapore government is very efficient and not corrupt. Okay, no. But this is the idea for the Senate, that the Senate will try to pass before the end of this year. And finally, okay, for Obama, who hasn't done anything yet, if he can pass this one, at least he can tell the hardcore supporters of the Democratic Party, saying, I promise you the health care, I deliver one. Just one thing, right? Health care. But there are a lot of Democrats are not very happy as well. Why? Even they passed the bill. Why would the Democrats not happy with the bill? 郑洁之. Yeah. Why would Democrats not happy? They don't. Yeah, some people don't like the bill. Why? Why don't they? I mean, this is your own bill. Well, not. I mean, I don't. I mean, you can never say that, right? Even if if a Democrat happened to be a private insurance company having a lot of stocks in there, and he will worry. But the real thing here is the Democratic Party, some of the hardcore, most liberal Democrats say, but you have taken out the coverage for abortion. Some people accidentally, like in Taiwan, right? We always know when you return to school in September, it's the time for abortion in Taiwan, right? So, but hey, sorry, you made a mistake, and the health care will not cover it. Okay? So some of the Democrats, but the Republicans said, this is not a Democratic bill. This is not a national health care. This is a liberal health care. Look, 39 moderate Republicans voted against. So let's see what will happen. Okay? But at least it will cover a lot of people. Again, this is what we call not mandatory. Okay? This is an important word. What is a mandatory? Does anyone know about our national health care? Is it mandatory? Mandatory means you have to have it. Okay, first of all, is it mandatory in Taiwan? Like, can you register without having a health care? No? You have to have a health care in Taiwan? We never, can anyone help me? The only excuse I have is I've been back only 14 years, and you have been in Taiwan in the past 18 or 19 years, so you should know more. Okay? Do we have mandatory health care? No? Right? What happens if people don't buy it? They say, I don't need health care. For example, you're a professor. I pay so much bill into a lot of money into my health care. I have not used it. And they won't give me a rebate. They don't even give me a coupon like, oh, you didn't spend. Why don't you, you can use the coffee shop here, inside Wanfang Hospital. You can, have the Starbucks coffee here. But I don't know. In the university, they just take, automatically. I have to check this with my university. Asking them, can I not be on the national health care? But why nobody questioned this? I think people said, this is a pretty good deal, right? I didn't spend a lot of money on healthcare, but whenever before my mom passed away, I know she spent a lot of money on healthcare. So I felt at least my money went to take care of my mom, right? So that's fair. The same thing with, all those retirement money. Some people say, hey, there are people who didn't pay into that, but there are people who pay in and help. So mandatory, in America, this healthcare is not mandatory. So, which means you have a choice. Okay, freedom to choose. Again, this is a Republican slogan, free to choose. Okay, so you don't have to choose the national health care in America. You can have your own private health insurance. But again, how many of you want to pay for the... We don't know whether the coverage will be good enough. But in America, again, most of the health care, you have to pay out of your pocket at least 20% first. And then some of the healthcare coverage will say, like the first $1,000 will not cover. Like only after the first $1,000, we will cover you 80%. It's like, okay, I need to get sick, to accumulate. And finally, I pay more than $1,000. Okay, I'm eligible to be covered, right? Wow, that takes, not a lot, but at least you have to be sick a few times to get that. So that's, in Taiwan, I don't think we will accept that. Will Taiwan's people accept something like, the first $20,000 will not be covered. You have to spend more than 20,000 Taiwanese dollar, and then after that, the government will, the health care will cover. I don't think we will buy that kind of insurance, but because American insurance is so expensive, people are being exploited. Okay, so opportunity, healthcare happen to have it right now, so you have to follow. And where is this? Okay, I sent all this to you, right? Also, last week, America had this field we call proposition. Okay, proposition is a little bit like referendum, but in America they call proposition. What do we call in Taiwan? We call Is that going to wake you up? Okay. 公民投票, right? Some of them vote for 公民投票. Unfortunately, in Maine, they said, sorry, we will not recognize civil union. Okay, no, same-sex marriage in Maine. But in Washington State, they accept civil union. So they always voted in this kind of election, sometimes in the presidential year, sometimes in the, we call the main midterm election. They will have all kinds of proposition. Okay, but I don't think we call in Taiwan. We always say 公投绑大选, right? But their 公投issue are so different from Taiwan. Their 公投 issue will be something like, do you want a casino? Okay, we have one finally. Or, do you want to have same-sex marriage being legal? Those type of issues. And Taiwan started from very politicized referendum. Okay, this is the issue. Okay, now, in the book, when you have remember freedom of religion, and then I think that in that chapter, Obama was attacked by his Republican opponents in the Senate race about his religion. I think the big question here, if Obama or most Americans, what's the percentage of American being having a faith, according to the textbook, Obama's book? Yeah, how many percentage according to the book, Audacity, Hope? I mean, people who profess that they believe in God in America. Make a guess. Anyone who read the book? 95%, right? Okay, now 95% do not mean they are all Christians. But they might have what we call Muslim as well, believe in God, right? So the other 5%, we can say they are what? They do not believe in God. Maybe they are atheist, right? Or what else? Some people who might not know whether they believe in God or not. So here we have 95%, and they are Christian, they are Muslim, they are Catholics, they are Buddhist, or they are someone we call like Thomas Jefferson or Benjamin Franklin. They believe there is a God, but they just don't know that God personally. We call the deist. Okay? I think if you go to Europe, that number will be lower, but so-called the people who profess believing in God still very high, but they are not practicing. Okay, we call some people are believers in names only. Means they don't go to the church, they don't go to the religious meeting. Some of them will go to the church maybe once a year, like what? Christmas. Some people will go to the church only when attending a wedding or attending a baptism. Friends, kids get baptized. Those we call them. They are not Christians or Catholics that are practicing their faith. So if you do, you are a believer. Okay, who was the Obama's opponent here? Lin Boyu. Yeah, do you remember? In the very beginning of the book, okay, Bush also mentioned, Bush said, hey, we are the only two guys. We both debated this guy. And he said, this guy is something, isn't it? Who was Obama's opponent in Senate race in 2004? Maybe I should find a picture of him. Do you know? Anyone? A very important guy. This is a very important. Hopefully we can find a picture of him or video. Alan Key. Okay, this is the guy. We'll come back and look at him. What happened here? This is Tsinghua University. I mean, so slow. I'm going to write something on the newspaper like Honglan. Saying I visited a top university, and I don't think they qualify for being a top university if the internet is so slow. This is almost like when people told me, I said, this is so slow. And, people would say, this is in Africa. What do you expect? Huh? When I visit Africa, this is the speed. Huh? Aren't you embarrassed being Tsinghua here? So slow? This is slow. Okay, anyway, we have a break now. I'm coming back to wait for this one. Okay. Is it going? Remove by the user. Thank you. After this is loud already, so hey, what happened? This is I said 音量. Which one? This one? Top. This one is top. This one is top. Okay, so we cannot see, but at least you know this guy. Okay, remember, the Republican Party couldn't find someone against Obama. So, their own candidate has some big problem, drop out of the race. They said, okay, Obama, I'll get you a highly educated, a black against a black. Huh? A Harvard guy against a Harvard guy. Okay, but Republican, he's way out of line. But he was a perennial candidate, means always running for Senate in Maryland, in Illinois. I mean, it's like wherever there is a race, he will go. Or he will run for president. And he debated George Bush. So Bush said, well, I have enough of him. What did Bush say in the book? I love that quote, so I have to take out that quote. You don't remember that quote from Bush about keys? Page 23. Is it 20? 57. Is it 57? Oh, okay. I think on page 57. Bush said at the end, the bottom. All right, I gotta get going. Me and you got something in common. What is it? Obama said. We both had to debate Alan Keyes. That guy's a piece of work, isn't he? I laugh. Okay, so that's what Bush said. We have one thing in common. We both debated this guy. This guy is like very difficult to handle. A piece of work. That's Bush's words. Okay, let's take a break. Jesus Christ, right, came to this world. Christ would not vote for Barack Obama, right? Because Barack Obama has voted to behave in a way that is inconceivable for Christ to have behaved. Okay? So that's Alan Keyes' accusation. And Alan Keyes also mentioned Obama said something about separation of church and state. Okay? So this is the one, separation of church and state. And people said, wait a second. In the First Amendment last time, we talked about two parts, right, of the freedom of religion. What are those two parts? Non-establishment. Second one is you have free exercise. But there is nothing, okay, is it non-establishment, separation of church and state? At least it's not in the Constitution. That's why Alan Keyes said Obama is, like very hypocritic. Whenever the faith is convenient for him to get votes, he will profess his faith. When he is not when it is not useful, then he will say, "Hey, separation of church and state." Why? Okay, I think Alan Key just asked the question, saying, "Hey, in the Bible it says, homosexuality is wrong, or the abortion, killing is wrong. How can Obama, as a Christian, support gay marriage, or gay rights, or supporting abortion?" Obama always said, "Well, that's my personal belief, but I'm not going to superimpose, something on other people." So this is why when you are not imposed your belief, it's because as a politician, you believe in the separation of church and state. Now, this term, number 8, separation of church and state, originally came from a letter, okay, not even any kind of public debate, a letter written by Thomas Jefferson to a church. He said there should be a war of separation. There should be a war between the church and the state. Okay, a war, a war like the Berlin Wall. Oh, by the way, do you see that? All those recreation of the Berlin Wall, like using the foam. I mean, we didn't have anything here. Tsinghua University, what happened? 你们应该在你们校园中间 ，right？ 放一些那个保丽龙，然后弄涂鸦，然后假装把它拆毁，然后说 wow， recreate， the tearing down of the Berlin Wall。好可惜，你看这种20年才来的一次机会，你们没有利用。Okay? But this war is a separation. War is separating. Okay? I know a lot of people think war to separate people, separate the prison, right? Separate everything. But when I first came to Taiwan, I love war. You know why I love war? Because war means there might be possibility for parking. 靠着墙哦，一定可以停车。Okay, so that's good. But separation by war. Okay, James Madison, the successor to Thomas Jefferson, talk about a line of separation. Okay, which means almost touch each other, but yet there's a line. Okay, Jefferson's war is like very difficult to cross. Let me give you one little story about the Berlin Wall. I remember younger than you reading one story about one young couple escaped from East Germany, East Berlin to West Berlin by retool the car. Like 张志佳很喜欢在重新什么组装车. Okay, so that's what he did. Okay, he lowered the car. And then his girlfriend was just lying in the back seat, and like a convertible, nothing on top. And that car was so low, was able to pass through the gate. Okay, so somehow retouring the car. Okay. That I still remember as I think about 11 or 12 years old reading this news. So now that war is gone, but there is still a war, unseen war, separating the church and state. Okay. For the Republican, they do not think so. They think, you have your faith, and that faith is manifested everywhere, right? In the book, we talk about all the senators. Hey, if the senators, they have their meeting, why can't in the school the kids have the meeting? If in the Senate, in the House, in the Congress, every day you have a chaplain. Chaplain means a minister, a priest, beginning the day with a prayer, but why not in the school? Okay, so Republicans have a lot of issue with this democratic idea of separation of church and state. Obama is facing that, in the abortion issue as well, because abortion, again, is not just pro-choice, pro-life, but also involve the religious belief, and then people begin to question. Okay, and then some of the other terms in the text we call the Christian fundamentalist. Christian fundamentalists will be the one, interestingly, okay, they are the one, today, we consider them the evangelical Christian, the one who like Pentecost church. Okay, I know this is difficult for you, but try, okay. Some of the Christian denomination, Pentecost. This is Pen is what? How many? 5. So I think this is what they call. Okay. You know Baptist, big American one. This is Jing, right? And what is Presbyterian? Presbyterian is one of the big one in Taiwan. The elder. Older, elder. 长老. Okay. I think these are the big one right now. What else? I think in America, Methodist is still big. Right? You remember you've been to the breakfast of the Methodist. Methodist is what? 美而美不是美以美。不要你们以为去吃早餐了啊，美以美啊 Methodist. And then there are few others. Okay, but Obama mentioned about the established church at the time was Congregationist. And in the north, so the Baptists were the one that is a minority that is very hard, worked very hard for the ordinary people. So Obama's idea about his faith is that he felt there is a need to be involved in the church. Okay, remember he talked about his mom. He said his mother was a very, delightful person, but at the end of her life, he said he saw the fear. He saw, the fear in her eyes, and also the unwillingness of her to depart from the world, and probably not knowing where to go. So Obama re-examined, and he went to the black church, because he felt the black church, the organized church, black church has a tradition of fighting injustice. So that's his own. But he talked about a few things that will make the Republican having a loaded weapon. One is he talked about the infallibility of the Bible, which is very important. What do you mean by infallible? What is infallible? Means cannot be wrong. Okay, it's a little bit like what Ma Ying-jeou talk about your future wife. Okay, right? 太太永远不会错，有错一定是你的错 or something, right? So that's infallible. Infallible means can never be wrong. So whatever being recorded in the Bible, literally. Is going to be true. Not just, people say, look, people in the old Bible time, they live to be 100 years old. They can have kids at, over 100. They live to be 800, 900. You say, that's just, kind of different kind of time. And people describe, they calculate. No, literally, they think that's the case. Okay, that's infallibility of the Bible. So even Obama look at this issue. He used one very famous story in the Old Testament about Abraham trying to offer his son, right, Isaac, and then tied up the son and going to offer, and then God's voice spoke, and then there was something else, prepare a goat, so the goat was sacrificed instead. But God said, oh, Abraham, you have great faith. Obama is saying, but today, if that happened, what will happen in America? You tied up your son and put him, going to burn him, offer him. He said, well, you hear a voice, but I'm sorry, I didn't hear that voice from God, right? And, okay, so at the last, you have something, a replacement, a goat. But other people said, take away that kid from that crazy man in the future. Put him in a foster home. 放到中途之家吧. This father is doing something really crazy. Because not everyone can hear what Abraham was hearing. So that's Obama's view of religion. He's individual with God, but he also wants to have this kind of association going to church instead of just himself. But he does not want to impose that. But for the Republican, you are challenging the Republican idea. I think that's the reason Republicans will accuse him of not being a real Christian, because some of the idea is quite different. Another one in Obama's speech, I think you never found in other president before. Most of the American president has accommodate what do we call Catholics. They have accommodate Jews. They will say Judeo-Christian tradition. Okay. This is what they would say, 犹太基督教传统, right? Tradition. That including Judaism, Catholicism, and then the Protestant religions, Christians. But Obama has added Muslim or the Islam into that, calling the Islam, which I think is very important. First one, Islam is very close to Christian religion. Why? You say, oh, it's all also from the Middle East, but more than that. What else? Su Zhenying. Yeah. Why Islam is close to the Judeo-Christian tradition? Well, you said already. I said they're all from Middle East, right? But there's also one more aspect. What is it? They are all monotheism instead of polytheism. Oh, again, polynomial. Ooh. What is mono and poly? One versus many, right? So at least all this are worshiping one God. Okay, and in the Bible, it also talk about the Arabs, and so the Arabs and the Jews are brothers, so they have some connection there, and also very important because Obama always talk about Muslim, Jews, Christian. I don't think he mentioned Buddhists. Mm-hmm. Did he mention Buddhists one time? But not every time. Every time he would say, Jews, Muslims. Did he mention Falun Gong? No? Okay. Next time he should. Okay. Now, second very important aspect. What happened to America last week as well? Wang Weijie. Yeah. What happened in America? Some killing. What happened? You say, oh, America always have those crazy guys. How can I remember? What happened? Fort Hood. What is Hood? Oh, 戴帽子的宝. Do you know? Have you heard about the story? Is someone just shot? You say, oh, that happened. How can I follow? It happened every month in America. Never heard of this? Do you have any idea? I mean, have you, that kind of, wow, you remember something happened? No? You don't see that news. Okay. Hey, this is American politics. Please, next time, turn on, when you open the Apple Daily, they cover American politics? Yeah? Okay, so at least in Apple Daily, 苹果日报还是看一下美国的部分。Okay? Because you have to know something happened in America. Okay, who knows what happened? Yeah? There was a killing, and by the way, there is a killing happened in a city in Fort Hood, right? Yeah, where is it? It's in Texas. And it's very close to another city called Killeen. And this city had a mass killing a few years ago. I mean, why don't they change the name? Gosh. Right? Okay, so what happened in that military? Yeah, but...
Well, he started to just open fire on people in the center of the base. He killed 13 people.
Yeah, but most importantly, what?
He screamed, God is great.
Yeah, well, he is a Muslim, right? So here he is a Muslim. In the military in America, you have a lot of Muslims. And now the Muslims are going to the Islamic country. And are you killing your brothers? Killing your Muslim brothers on behalf of the Christian nation of the United States? So there must be a debate, a search of their conscience. Conscience, like, am I doing the right thing? Going there? This is what I was told. They said, America has to reinforce all these Muslims, all those people who joined the military, saying, you are the good ones. They are the bad Muslims. So in order to let people know the real good, correct way of belief, you have to, get rid of them or, defeat them so that the real Muslim, the good Islam can come out. That's how you brainwash the American Muslim so that you can go. Okay. I have an American friend who is a social worker in the military. So I asked him, I said, what do you do, as a social worker in the military? He said, people might get hurt, wounded in a battle, and they might get kind of going through a trauma. You understand trauma, right? Like, seeing all the, very tragic happening. He said, I will comfort him, and I said, go back. Go back. It's okay to go back and fight. That's the social worker. Social worker will say, well, you have been doing a great job. Yeah, you got hurt, but, once you heal, okay, you can go back to the battle. Okay, so that's how they do it. But here, this is a big story. Obama, I think, has preempted this one by including Muslim in most of his speech. And now you have American Muslim kind of lost. Like, I'm fighting the Muslim, but I am American. Big issue. So Obama has to deal with this issue in Afghanistan and Iraq in the future. But one thing I think I need to remind you about all these battles Americans were. If you follow some of the movies in the United States, every battle will bring back people who have difficult time to adjust, going back to the ordinary or life. What do we call in Chinese? When you are disarmed, you return to your society. Have you heard of this term? 复原. Okay. This demobilization. Okay. means you are not mobilized to go to war, and now you're back home. Okay, what do? You say, oh, before the war, well, right now the only thing you know are all those mass killing weapons, right? Weapons of mass destruction. And then you go out, you buy something to shoot. You have no enemy to shoot, so you shoot a squirrel. Okay? So there are a lot of people who have difficult time adjusting. They are what we call bombs ticking everywhere in the United States. 14 years ago in Oklahoma, one veteran from the Persian Gulf War saying, I came back and I fought for my country, and this is what the leaders are taking care of my country. Not happy, bomb a federal building, right? Hundreds of people died. Okay, so and then a few years ago in Washington D.C. there was a guy who was just shooting people randomly. Okay, I think he's right now under death penalty. He's going to die. So you have all this. So America has to stop all this fighting somewhere, because whatever fighting you have, like those people from Vietnam War, from Persian Gulf War, now from the Iraqi War, from Afghanistan War, all came back and just have a difficult time adjusting, and they can be, all kinds of trouble in the society, and need a lot of counseling, I think. Okay, in the book also talk about what is the word religiosity. It's the degree of your seriousness about your religion. Okay, how serious you are, your religiosity. So, for example, on gay marriage, right? The American conservative pastor said, God created what? Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Okay? So, hey, you have to quote those. I mean, those are real nice quotes, right? Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Okay? So, this is like, if you are according, in the text, they will attack you saying you are not serious. You are a recreational believer, not a true believer. But Obama, again, felt that the faith is something individual, and he felt even in terms of abortion, that decision was very difficult. He would try to change, but at least Obama is willing to debate with people, and he would not put the anti-abortion or pro-life people as some will consider them to be crazy. Okay, I've known some of those people who will lie themselves down, blocking the entrance of an abortion clinic. Okay, and then with pictures of aborted fetus, showing to the girls who want to have abortion, look, baby killer, so you have to go in there and with that. Okay, that's more act. But there will also be people who are crazy. They will bomb the abortion clinic, killing the abortion doctor. Okay, that's one extreme. But there will be other people who will just silently putting a Virgil, like Virgil 叫中文的，就是守夜那种，拿个灯，中文的。哎 help me. What is it? There's like some activity. 里面有个字典，看一下，怎么讲？啊？木？什么木？不是吧？不是 Virgil 这个字啊 ，Virgil，Vigil。 就是守，有没有？守夜就叫守夜，这么长，就是好像不睡觉，在那边外面帮你安静抗议、默祷那种 virgin。Okay, but anyway, there are anti-abortion people would do that. And this doctor from the beginning of the chapter said, I agree with you a lot, but you cannot say, you were actively trying to stop the people from doing that. And, at least they have a dialogue. I think throughout the book, you find all these chapters, Obama keeps saying, we are not polarized. We have some middle ground we can talk about. I'm not sure that's the case in terms of the faith issues or the healthcare issue. Okay, any question on this? Let's see. Okay. One of the review question I want to mention a little bit before, because I don't think we mentioned this word here. This word. Okay. What do we mean by plebiscite? Okay, we have referendum. We have proposition. Do we know what's the word initiative mean in Chinese? Okay, this and this are four of the basic rights of Taiwan's voters. What's the first right is called election, right? What's the second one? Recall. And then third one is the initiative. Fourth one is referendum. You remember that? No? 选举, 罢免, and 创制. Okay, 选举, 罢免, recall someone. Okay, say please come back. I don't want you to serve as my representative. But how many people have we recalled? This word recall right now has been used for what? Like some automobile have some defects and being recalled. But have you 你们有罢免过你们的车吗？就是回厂维修嘛，但我们都没有罢免掉它。来，又回来了。Recall. Okay. And initiative is 创制。What's the difference between initiative and referendum? Initiative means the people who started. Initiative means the idea of something that comes from the people. Referendum means what? The representative, your congressman, your parliamentarian, they don't know whether you really like it or not. They say, okay, why don't we have this one being decided by the voters? Now, I mentioned to you before, but then why are we electing you? We cannot make up our mind. We don't really know what you want. So we ask you to decide. Okay, now, are we going to decide the beef, whether you like the beef or not? First of all, give me a hint. Can you tell the difference between Taiwan, Australian, and American beef? How many of you can tell? So which is dangerous then? And I have friends who said American beef tastes better. To me, they are all just a piece of meat. Just like Allen key, a piece of work. Huh? To me, it's just, I cannot tell the difference, but some people do. But anyway, do you think we should trust the people in the elected representative to decide whether the beef is safe? Because they have all the information. Like how much time did you spend studying whether the beef is safe? Now, okay, so do you think then you should vote in a referendum? It's a little bit difficult, don't you think? I think I can vote something about gay marriage. I can vote something about, even this one's a little bit difficult, surrogate motherhood, right? 代理孕母, whether we should have it. I think I can vote about casino. But last time people asked me to vote for Taiwan's nuclear power plant. No, I have to ask my Tsinghua student. Right? Okay, can you give me more information? Is it safe? All the nuclear waste and all that. And then, okay, hey, your professor at least is educated. But what happens to those people who are not educated and you ask them to vote on nuclear power plant? That's difficult. So referendum, sometimes I don't think it's good, but they also, the people avoid their responsibility by having referendum. Okay. Now, what's plebiscite? Okay. There's another word here. Plebiscitarian. Okay. Plebiscite. Okay. Plebiscite is also 公民投票. Okay. But it's voting for that individual performance or for a country's future, like whether the country should abolish the monarchy. Some people use plebiscite. It's being used kind of interchangeably now with referendum. So the representative democracy means you believe 代议政治, right? People who represent you, they make the decision. But plebiscitarian means everyone is involved. Almost like what era, in what history, what time of our history that we see that happening. 刘清耶，有在吗？ Okay. What part of our in human history, which part that almost all the citizens are involved in making the decision? In Chinese history, do we have that? You said, well, China always have too many people. I cannot do that. So you have to have a smaller. But there was one time in history, a lot of people were involved in debating or no, not in China. One of the civilizations, they have, we call it city-states. Yeah, Athens, right? Athenian democracy, right? All the adults, pretty educated because they have a crazy guy called Socrates, right? Just sitting in the market and just teach people. So everyone kind of get educated. 苏格拉底就坐在市集上面，天天教，所以每个人都懂啊。Okay, so everyone was involved. That's what we call plebiscitarian democracy. Now, in the university, some people said if the university is truly run by the professors, then every professor should be in the university senate. Of course, that would be too big. So we still have what we call representative democracy in the university, right? Now, how many families actually have representative democracy? Like, 你们有兄弟姐妹，你们说，大人爸爸妈妈你们选一个人代表，然后我们孩子选一个人代表，来决定事情，有这样子吗？But bigger family, right? 有宗亲的是有代表 ，right? But inside, so small you can do it. So direct democracy, that was an idea. Everybody can be involved. Plebiscitarian means everybody vote. That's the same thing as direct democracy, but it's impossible right now. Some people say 李明大会 is a participatory. It's a representative. I'm sorry. It's a plebiscitarian democracy because everyone's supposed to go can go, right? But how many of you have ever been to a 李明大会？同学有没有？都没有。Okay. How about 班会？你们班会有参加过吗？全班都到吗？ Okay. Vote for where do we have the graduation party, right? Which big hotel you're going to have the dance party? I think that's what we call plebiscitarian democracy. Okay, so you understand that, but it's not happening. America sometimes they say, "Oh, that was the good old days of the New England colonial history." You have the town hall meeting. Everybody will go because remember when is Americans' election? Last week. You know, they always have the election on what time? November. Always November. The first Tuesday after the second Monday. Right? So they have that. Why November? Oh, 秋高气爽. Right? But why November? Hey, in agricultural society, November means what? The autumn harvest already finished. 农忙结束，收割完了 right? I still remember by the end of October, people harvest everything, and I used to sit on the truck with we call the hay ride. 有没有人看过 movie about hay ride? Like you tie all the hay 牧草一块块方方的 on the roadside, and then a truck come and then pick up, put it on the truck, and then some people are just crazy, you know, out just drinking beer, putting on cowboy hat and go around the field. That we call hay ride. Okay, that's the end of October, about the Halloween time. So the first week of November, everybody has time. You finish all your agricultural works. Now it's supposed to vote. So if you have a town hall meeting, that means everybody can, you know, set aside their works and go. But it's not possible now. Okay. So that good old days of the town hall meeting, the plebiscitarian democracy is over. You are in a representative democracy now, instead of a direct democracy. So participatory and representative, these are two different things. Participatory is more like a direct or a plebiscitarian. Representative, we pay them, so they do their work. Okay, so you have to remember these three are similar. Participatory, you went in there. Plebiscitarian, you went there to vote. Direct, all those three. Okay. Any question on the one I give you? Since you are preparing for the map test, shall I also ask you to identify few red and blue states as well? You can go to those websites like even here. Okay, I'll give you one website so you can use. Oh, I like him. Do you want to hear him again? Look, Obama was not doing well, you know, against him. Is it coming? I have not seen Obama so uncomfortable. That's the reason people say Obama lost the debate. Okay.
Question for Mr. Obama.
Look at him. He looks so nervous.
Senator Obama, you say you're a Christian, but Ambassador Key said that your record runs counter to Jesus' teachings. What's your reaction to your opponent's assertion that your own Lord and Savior will vote for you?
So your God will not vote for you.
My first reaction was I actually wanted to find out who Mr. Key's pollster was. Because if I had the opportunity to talk to Jesus Christ, I'd be asking something much more important than the Senate race. I want to know whether I was going up or down. There are all sorts of questions, I think, that
it's not doing well.
Look, I'm very proud of my Christianity, and it sustains me, and it's part of what motivates me to get involved in public service. As I said before, I started in this town, in Chicago, organizing a church, and the enormous faith and resilience and courage that was shown by persons of faith made all the difference in the world in terms of setting up after-school programs for youth, or making sure that we have affordable housing in many communities that are having tough times all across this state. But what I don't think is appropriate as a public servant is for me to assume my faith is absolute. And to therefore...
That's the question. If you don't believe your faith is absolute, then you're not a true believer. That's what...
somehow evil or wrong, or that I can't have a dialogue with them and arrive at common ground. Thank you very much, Mr. Keyes.
Of course, the question involved here wasn't people of different faiths, but people who profess the same faith. And that faith is faith in Jesus Christ. And the question I think is that I think the Lord is not whether I'm going up or going down. I want to know where he stands so that I may follow him. I want to know where he stands with respect to the will of the Father, to whom we look. And on these questions, like the Lord said, he says the taking of innocent life is an abomination. On these questions, like traditional marriage, he says he created us male and female. And that the long use of the body of this life is again, as the Scripture says, an abomination. He defined marriage not as the union of man and man or woman and woman, but as man and woman, and the two become one flesh. Something that is possible only in the course of procreation. So when I look at where Christ stands, and I look at where Senator Obama stands, based upon that record of Christ's understanding, which we acknowledge as Christians to be the true record, I say, well, Christ is over here, Senator Obama is over there, but we don't look the same.
Okay, Obama said about Alan Key, he said he could deliver on page 248 grammatically flawless disquisition on virtually any topic. Okay, this is a guy who can speak not in sentences but paragraphs. Okay, so very good debater. But anyway, he still lost very badly. But Obama, you can see Obama doesn't feel very comfortable with him. I think Obama was more comfortable against Hillary Clinton, against McCain, but this guy gave him a bit. Okay, I'll see you next week.